How do you carve an entire mountain into the likeness of a legendary warrior and still, after decades, see only a fraction of it completed? That's the story of the Crazy Horse Memorial, one of the most ambitious and mysterious unfinished megaprojects in history. Conceived in 1948 as a Native American answer to Mount Rushmore, the monument was meant to depict Crazy Horse, the fearless Lakota leader who resisted U.S. expansion. Sculptor Korczak Załkowski dedicated his life to the project, refusing government funding to ensure the memorial remained independent. Even after his death in 1982, his family continued his work, but over 75 years later, only the face is fully carved, with the body and horse still trapped in the rock. So what's the holdup? Unlike government-funded projects, Crazy Horse relies entirely on donations, private funding, and tourism revenue. Its sheer scale, intended to be the largest mountain carving in the world at 563 feet high, also complicates the progress. Harsh weather, funding shortages, and engineering challenges make each step painstakingly slow. Beyond logistics, the project is surrounded by controversy. Some Native Americans question whether the monument truly honors Lakota culture, arguing that Crazy Horse would have rejected the commercialization surrounding the site. Others believe the project is more about tourism than heritage. Will the world ever see the finished Crazy Horse Memorial, or will it remain a half-carved dream, frozen in time? How can a building be under construction for over 140 years and still not be complete? That's the mystery of the Sagrada Familia, one of the most breathtaking yet perpetually unfinished megaprojects in the world. Designed by the legendary architect Antoni Gaudi in 1882, this basilica in Barcelona is a masterpiece of intricate detail, blending Gothic and Art Nouveau styles like something straight out of a dream. Gaudi's vision was nothing short of revolutionary, so complex that even modern architects struggle to interpret his original designs. But despite its beauty, the project has been plagued by endless delays. Gaudi himself knew he wouldn't live to see its completion, and when he died in 1926, only a fraction of the structure was built. The Spanish Civil War further set the project back, destroying many of Gaudi's original plans and models. With no government funding, construction relied entirely on private donations, making progress painfully slow for decades. Then, just when completion finally seemed within reach, the COVID-19 pandemic caused further setbacks. Originally projected to be finished by 2026, marking 100 years since Gaudi's passing, the latest reports suggest it may even take longer. Yet, despite all odds, construction continues. Tower by tower, spire by spire, the Sagrada Familia inches toward completion. Will the world ever see it in its intended glory, or will it remain the most beautiful unfinished church in history? Some roads are built to connect places, others seem cursed from the start. Interstate H-3 in Hawaii is one of the most controversial highways in US history, taking nearly 40 years to complete despite being only 15 miles long. Originally planned in the 1960s as a vital military route, H-3 quickly became a battleground. Native Hawaiian groups protested its construction, claiming it would disturb sacred burial sites. Environmentalists fought against the destruction of pristine landscapes, arguing that the highway would permanently scar Oahu's lush mountains. Lawsuits piled up, delaying progress for decades. Doesn't that sound like a project doomed from the start? Then came the engineering nightmares. H-3 had to carve through volcanic mountains, stretch over deep valleys, and withstand Hawaii's humid, rainy climate. The challenge of building massive tunnels through the Ko'olau Range added years of delays. Costs skyrocketed, reaching over $1.3 billion, making it one of the most expensive highways per mile in US history. Finally, opening in 1997, H-3 became a breathtaking scenic highway, offering jaw-dropping views of the island. But even in completion, controversy lingers. Some Native Hawaiians believe this project is cursed due to the disruption of sacred land. Others view it as a symbol of government overreach and environmental disregard. Whether seen as an engineering marvel or a monument to misplaced priorities, Interstate H-3 remains one of the most debated roads ever built, a road where progress came at an extraordinary cost. Suppose you built the biggest, most powerful machine on Earth, only to realize it no longer had a job. That's exactly what happened with the Bagger 288, a colossal bucket wheel excavator in Germany. This mechanical behemoth, standing taller than the Statue of Liberty and weighing a staggering 13,500 tons, was designed to devour entire landscapes in search of coal. For decades, it tore through open pit mines, moving mountains of earth like they were mere sand castles. But as Germany shifted away from coal, the Bagger 288 found itself in a strange predicament. Too big to be easily scrapped, too powerful to be repurposed. Doesn't that sound like the setup for a sci-fi horror movie? Its enormous size and complex structure made dismantling it almost an impossible task. When its original mine shut down, the machine had to be transported over 60 miles to a new site. A journey that took 3 weeks and costed millions. Moving something this massive required an army of workers, specially reinforced roads, and an elaborate system to ensure it didn't destroy everything in its path. Today, its fate remains uncertain. Some see it as a relic of outdated industry, a monument to a bygone era of coal dependency. Others view it as an engineering marvel, proof of human ingenuity at its most extreme. Either way, the Bagger 288 stands as a reminder that even the most unstoppable machines can become obsolete, left to rust as symbols of progress that has moved on without them. Imagine a city rising from the ocean, packed with towering concrete buildings, once teeming with life, only to be abandoned overnight, left to decay under the relentless sea winds. This is Hashima Island, also known as Battleship Island, a tiny speck off the coast of Japan that went from a thriving coal mining hub to an eerie ghost town. At its peak in the mid-20th century, Hashima was home to over 5,000 people, making it one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Workers and their families lived in tightly packed apartments, surrounded by seawalls that kept the harsh waves at bay. The island wasn't just a workplace, it was a self-contained city with schools, shops, and even a hospital, all crammed into its 16 acres. However, when Japan shifted from coal to petroleum in the 1970s, Hashima's mines were shut down, and the island was abandoned almost instantly. Doesn't that sound like something out of a dystopian novel? For decades, the island was left untouched, just crumbling buildings and forgotten belongings, frozen in time. Nature began to reclaim the island, with vegetation creeping through cracks in the concrete. Though it's now open for limited tourism, its haunting, decayed structures serve as a chilling reminder of how quickly a booming city can become nothing more than a ghostly relic of the past. Hashima Island's story raises questions about the sustainability of rapid industrial growth and the human cost of economic shifts. Suppose you built a billion-dollar space program only to leave it collecting dust in a forgotten hangar. That's exactly what happened to the Soviet Union's answer to NASA's space shuttle, the Buran program. Hidden deep within the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, 2 full-size space shuttles now sit abandoned, gathering dust and decay, a haunting reminder of a space race that ended in silence. In the 1980s, the USSR was determined to outdo America's space shuttle. And you know what? The Buran, an advanced, reusable shuttle that successfully completed an unmanned flight in 1988. Unlike the US shuttle, it could land autonomously, a technological marvel at the time. But just as the program was gaining momentum, the Soviet Union collapsed and funding dried up. The ambitious space project was scrapped and the remaining shuttles were left behind, forgotten. Now, the once pristine spacecrafts are cracked, covered in graffiti, and surrounded by the skeletal remains of their hangar. Doesn't that sound like the setting of a sci-fi horror film? Urban explorers sneak into the site to capture eerie photos of what could have been the future of space travel. But with each passing year, the shuttle deteriorates further, their once bright promise fading into nothing but a ghost of Soviet ambition. What happens when a futuristic, $100 billion city is built, but no one moves in? That's the eerie reality of Forest City, Malaysia's ambitious, yet controversial megaproject. Designed as a luxurious, eco-friendly paradise with smart technology, man-made islands, and lush greenery, it was meant to house 700,000 people. But today, it feels more like a ghost town than a thriving metropolis. Developed by Chinese company Country Garden, Forest City was heavily marketed to foreign investors, particularly from China. Luxury condos, waterfront views, and promises of a high-tech lifestyle lured in buyers. However, strict housing laws, political tensions, and an economic downturn led to a shocking reality. Most units sit empty, and the city's futuristic streets remain eerily quiet. Imagine rows of high-rise buildings with no lights on, shopping malls without shoppers, and pristine beaches without visitors. Doesn't that sound unsettling? Critics now call it one of Asia's biggest real estate failures, comparing it to infamous ghost cities in China. Despite setbacks, developers still push the narrative that Forest City will rise again. But will it ever live up to its billion-dollar dream? Or will it remain a haunting symbol of overambition? What kind of hotel stands 1,080 feet tall, dominates an entire city skyline, yet has never hosted a single guest? Welcome to the Ryugyong Hotel, North Korea's infamous Hotel of Doom. Planned as a shining symbol of North Korean superiority in the late 1980s, this 105-story, pyramid-shaped skyscraper was meant to be the tallest hotel in the world. The government hoped it would showcase their economic strength and architectural prowess, but instead, the project became a global embarrassment. Financial struggles, poor construction quality, and North Korea's growing political isolation turned it into one of the most mysterious unfinished megaprojects in history. By 1992, construction halted, leaving an eerie concrete skeleton towering over Pyongyang for nearly 2 decades. For years, the massive, windowless structure loomed like a ghostly monument to failed ambition. Then, in 2008, developers covered the exterior with glass, giving the illusion of completion. And you know what's inside? It remains a hollow, lifeless shell. Occasional rumors of revival emerge. Luxury developers, international investors, and even grand plans for a high-tech LED display. Yet, to this day, the doors remain locked and its future is uncertain. A luxury hotel? A propaganda stunt? A cautionary tale of overambition? Whatever its fate, the Ryugyong Hotel remains one of the strangest and most mysterious structures in modern architecture. Which unfinished megaproject intrigued you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know if you'd like to see more stories of ambitious endeavors. Join us next time as we uncover more fascinating stories of ambition and mystery, because every project has a story worth telling.